Buenos días, buenas tardes, or buenas noches. ¿Cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. So we're ready to kick off week 4 today. And to start week 4, we're going to actually go back and do just a little bit of review in this first set about subject pronouns because they're going to play an integral part of what we're going to learn this week. So on my screen, you see a copy of some notes that hopefully you have pulled up by now. We're going to take some notes today. So you have two options. You can print this off and fill it in as we talk, or you can make a copy of it, put it into your Google Drive, and take notes on the screen. But you'll want these notes up as we're going to go through the slides. So I'm going to switch over to my slides here. And again, we're going to talk about subject pronouns. So I introduced these to you last week at the very end of our last set. And I want to come back and talk about these again today, again, just because they're so important to what we're going to learn this week and moving forward. So today, let's go through this chart. I've got the subject pronouns on my screen right now in English. Again, remember, subject pronouns are words like I, you, he, she, you. Basically, all the words you see on your screen are our subject pronouns in Spanish, and we're going to review today how do you say these words in Spanish. So we're going to start with I. How do you say I in Spanish? Yo. All right, and again, this is a review from last week. How do you say you in Spanish? And it says next to it, informal. This is the you we would use talking with our friends or people we know really well or younger siblings. And that is tú with an accent. How do we say he in Spanish? Él with an accent. How do we say she? Ella. And then we also learned several weeks ago that there is another way to say you in Spanish, but it's the formal you. It's the you we would use with people that we don't know, or maybe people who are older than we are, and that is usted. And it's you can spell it U-S-T-E-D, usted, or you can also abbreviate it U-D period. So you'll see it written both ways. All right, so these are all examples of singular subject pronouns. And again, a subject pronoun is nothing more than the words you see on your screen. So let's go through and practice our pronunciation. I'm going to have you say these after I do. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted. All right, so those are singular subject pronouns. Let's look on the right-hand side, and we're going to fill out our subject pronouns now that are plural, that are more than one person. All right, in Spanish, we say the word we by saying nosotros or nosotras. And you may remember from last week, nosotros would be we if we're talking about a group of all guys, or maybe it's a group of guys and girls. If it's only girls only, we would say nosotras. All right? And we learn another way in Spain that they have a word that's used only in Spain. It's the word vosotros or vosotras. Again, vosotros would be just for guys or guys and girls mixed together, or vosotras if it's a group of girls. And basically that's about how you would say you guys or all of you. It's informal and it's only used in Spain. Ellos means they, and again it says masculine because that would be referring to they as in a group of guys, or if there were a group of guys and girls together, it would be ellos. If it's a group of girls only, you would say ellas. Ellas means they. And then we also have down here another way to say you guys or you all, and it's ustedes, which can be abbreviated UDS, UDS. And again, ustedes also means you all or all of you. All right, in Spain, it's formal because we see above that the informal way of saying you all is vosotros. But in Latin America, so pretty much every place else that speaks Spanish but Spain, ustedes can be formal or informal. It can be either or. So you can use it in a formal situation or in an informal situation. So vosotros, again, is just used in Spain to mean you guys, all of you informally. Ustedes is used in Spain only in formal situations. And then ustedes can also be all of you or you guys formally or informally in every other country but Spain. All right, so just to kind of recap something from a few weeks ago on the singular side, remember we use tú with a friend, a family member, or someone who's younger than we are. We use usted with a person that we don't know, someone who is older, or someone to whom you want to show respect. All right, so if you're ever not sure, always err on the side of caution, be more formal instead of informal, and you can always switch a little bit later once you get to know the person. On the plural side, again, just to recap, vosotros or vosotras is used with friends, family members, or younger people only in Spain when it's a group of people. All right. We use ustedes with people that we don't know, older people, and people for whom we want to show respect in Spain. But we use it in Latin America with any group of people, whether it's informal or formal. All right. And again, Latin America refers to pretty much every other country that speaks Spanish except for Spain. And then I noted some of the spelling changes. You see the nosotras, vosotras, and ellas. We use those if we're talking about only female people that would be in that group. Okay? So we're going to do some practice today and practice a little bit on screen, then practice with our first SWIC. We can use a subject pronoun in Spanish to replace a name when you're talking about that person or those people. So let's kind of recap here. I'm talking about Juan. Which one of those subject pronouns that we learned just a few slides ago could replace Juan? Well, hopefully you're saying to yourself right now, él, because Juan is Juan. Él means he, so I could take the word Juan out and I could put the word he in there. So instead of saying, something like Juan lives in Fort Wayne, we could say he lives in Fort Wayne. He could take the place of Juan. All right, I'm talking about Sara. What pronoun can replace Sara's name? Well, hopefully you said ella. So I could say Sarah lives in Fort Wayne, or I could say she lives in Fort Wayne. I could replace Sarah with the word ella because it's a pronoun. It takes the place of the subject. The subject is Sara. The pronoun can take the place of Sara. I'm talking about Pedro y yo. All right, what pronoun can replace Pedro y yo? Pedro and I? Well, hopefully you said nosotros. All right, nosotros, I could take that. Instead of saying Pedro and I are from Indiana, I could say we are from Indiana. All right, nosotros somos de Indiana. All right, I'm talking about Sara y yo. What pronoun can replace Sara y yo? So instead of saying Sara and I are from Fort Wayne, we could say nosotros are from Fort Wayne, or nosotras. If I happen to be also a girl, it would be nosotras. Okay, so those are just a quick little recap of how I use some of my pronouns. Let's try another one. I'm talking about Pedro y Juan. What pronoun could replace Pedro y Juan? Well, instead of saying Pedro and Juan live in Fort Wayne, I could say they or ellos live in Fort Wayne. So that could replace Pedro y Juan because subject pronouns can replace the subject. I'm talking about Sara y Maria. Sarah and Maria. So instead of saying Sara and Maria drink water, I could say they drink water, or ellas, because Sara and Maria are both females. Ellas would be my correct subject pronoun. So we're going to practice with this a little bit. Again, this is kind of a big review from last week's last set, because when you move on to our next set here in just a little while, we're going to dive into how these pronouns help us with verbs. So there's a SWIC waiting for you next. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. Adios. Ciao.